Thomas.
I have more to say about you.
Oh, dear.
Laura describes herself as a parent activist and an author. Laura founded FEAST, the only international parent organization on the topic of eating disorders. When we asked people to send in a short bio, that's all Laura sent in. So I have a few more things that I'd like to add on about Laura.
Thanks.
Laura came into this field as a lone wolf. Is that a fair assessment? Okay, fair assessment. She was a lone wolf. She was somebody who said, you know, this isn't fair. I was blamed for what my daughter went through, and I don't think that's the case. How many of you out there with a son or daughter struggling have ever been told that it's your fault? Yeah, a lot of hands go up. Laura here is responsible for starting the change in the tide that physicians and therapists and people who don't know, you know, hear, oh, eating disorders, yeah, I hear parents cause that. She is the reason that eventually that will no longer be something that anybody utters. She is the one who started questioning, wait a minute, I don't think parents cause eating disorders. And she has been a champion behind that message that parents, I hope you hear me, parents do not cause eating disorders, and she, I think, is the person who started that trend and that reality, because it is reality. So I thank you for your work in the field, but on a more personal level, I thank you for your friendship, because we don't always see eye to eye. Well, actually, when it comes to chocolate cake and coffee, we do. But we might not always see eye to eye on ideas, but we see eye to eye on respect for one another, and that means so much to me. And I thank you for sharing your daughter's story and for sharing of your life and your time, the hours that you've donated to this field, and for coming here today when you had many other more important things that you could have been doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I am today the ghost of parents past, guilt-ridden, hidden, and contrite. We listened in terror, but we were afraid to speak. Ours was a march of worried deference. We heard that our beloved children had been damaged irrevocably, and that we had failed to protect them, or worse, that we had perpetrated horrible crimes against our children. We went from seer to seer, promise to promise, cure to promised cure. We grabbed at hope and we clawed at each other, always willing to do one more thing. We hid our names, we covered our shame, and we accepted our penance. We were left out of the room, sent away, set to tasks that kept us at arm's length from our children, and still we were grateful. We were hopeful even without a plan. We were willing even without a role. Until there was no more hope often, or, exhausted, we watched our children recover from a distance. Over time, even over my short 10 years down this rabbit hole, more parents awakened to a newer view. Sometimes invited and sometimes protesting, we were told we need not hide and we must not hang back. We learned that not only is there hope, but there is hope in what we as parents can do in our role. More of us began to join treatment teams along with the professionals. More of us joined advocacy. More of us took our place in supporting our loved ones directly and indirectly toward recovery. We healed our families together. We shared information and science and support openly, joyfully, with optimism, and even at times with humor. This is an awakening that happened in other groups and other fields as well, and it involved parents. MAD, NAMI, autism, many areas of child health have been revolutionized by what parents did. They took their place not only in the examining room, but in the boardroom and in Washington. Many years ago, when I was still an unwelcomed guest to change the way parents are viewed in eating disorder treatment, I had the opportunity to interview Dr. Thomas Insel, the head of the National Institute of Mental Health. And I remember clearly what he told me, and what he said is that eating disorder treatment and eating disorder research would not progress until and unless parents, specifically, stood up and took their place to make it happen. That was when I and others gathered a loose coalition of parents and created the first international organization of parents for parents. Many of you were there, and many of you helped make that happen. And as a result, there are thousands and thousands of families around the world sharing support, sharing information, and evidence-based information. I am the ghost of parents now. Only a ghost, as I have retired recently and turned over my 10 years of rabble-rousing to a new generation of parents, and these parents are different. They use their real names. They carry pictures of their children with pride and with optimism. These parents do what they do without pity, and they expect and sometimes demand change and accountability. They're vocal, and their emotions are just the same as any other set of parents faced with a life-threatening illness in their children. They take their place with other advocates, other movements, other marches. And they do so collaboratively, and they look to the future and not the past. I am the ghost of parents' future. Some will remember this day here where we are. Some will count it as the day that marked a new era. Some will define it as the day that they set a course in their home or in the Congress tomorrow for genuine and lasting change. In the future, too, will be countless families who, because of what you do now and what you do tomorrow, will never know about this day. They will never know who had to show up and speak up to make it happen, that their children will live in a country where they will be treated properly, they will get intervention early, and they will be able to be supporters and not frightened bystanders. They may have the luxury of never suffering the isolation, confusion, self-doubt, and family-dissolving potential of an eating disorder diagnosis. They may never know, but we do, and we will not rest without that future assured. Thank you.